Look at the smartphone in your hand right now. It is a marvel of modern engineering, packing millions of times more computing power than the systems that guided humanity to the moon. We use them to manage our lives, capture our memories, and connect with the entire world instantly. But this incredible technology didn't just appear overnight. The history of the mobile phone is a dramatic, high-stakes saga of global empires. It is a story of visionary ideas, fierce competition, multi-billion-dollar gambles, and heartbreaking corporate collapses. Today, we are going to take a deep look into the definitive history of the five giants that literally built our interconnected modern world: Motorola, Nokia, Samsung, Apple, and Huawei. From the very first analog cellular signal to the cutting-edge AI-driven foldables of today, this is how these tech titans shaped the future. Our journey begins in the early 1970s with the pioneer that started it all, Motorola. Before Motorola stepped up, the concept of a mobile phone was mostly restricted to bulky car phones that relied on massive batteries hidden in the trunk. But a visionary engineer named Martin Cooper wanted to change that. In April 1973, standing on a New York City street, Cooper made history by placing the first ever public cellular phone call using a prototype device. 10 years of rigorous development and $100 million later, the Motorola Dynatac 8000X became the world's first commercially available portable cell phone. It was nicknamed the brick phone for a reason. It weighed nearly a kilogram, required 10 hours of charging for just 30 minutes of talk time, and cost a staggering $4,000. Yet, it proved to the world that wireless communication was possible. Motorola didn't stop there. They continued to innovate throughout the late 80s and 90s, focusing heavily on miniaturization and design. They released the Motorola Microtac, which introduced the revolutionary flip design, and later the StarTAC, one of the first widespread consumer clamshell phones that could comfortably fit into a pocket. Then, in 2004, Motorola captured the cultural zeitgeist with the release of the iconic Motorola Razr V3. With its razor-thin profile, futuristic laser-cut aluminum keypad, and satisfying snap-closing mechanism, the Razr became a fashion statement and one of the best-selling mobile phones of all time. Motorola proved that phones could be cool, sleek, and highly personal. However, as the industry transitioned from analog hardware to digital software, the American pioneer began to lose its footing, paving the way for a European superpower. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, a giant from Finland had risen to absolute global dominance: Nokia. What started originally as a rubber and paper mill company transformed into an unstoppable technology superpower. Nokia's philosophy was elegantly simple: connecting people. They realized that the key to winning the global market was building reliable, affordable, and practically indestructible devices for the masses. Nokia successfully democratized mobile technology, expanding rapidly into developing countries and making cellular communication accessible to billions. Devices like the legendary Nokia 3310 and Nokia 1100 became cultural icons. They were famous for their multi-day battery life, swappable plastic covers, highly tactile physical keypads, and of course, the wildly addictive mobile game, Snake. Nokia wasn't just about budget phones, though. They pioneered the early smartphone era with their advanced Symbian operating system and the premium N-series devices, like the Nokia N95, which featured built-in GPS, a 5-megapixel camera, and advanced multimedia capabilities long before others. At its peak, Nokia controlled over 40% of the entire global mobile market. They were a corporate monarchy that seemed completely untouchable. But the digital landscape was about to experience a tectonic shift, and Nokia's reliance on physical hardware and an outdated operating system would soon cost them their throne. The year was 2007, and the entire tech universe changed forever. Steve Jobs walked onto a stage in California and introduced the very first Apple iPhone. Jobs famously described it as 3 revolutionary devices combined into one: a widescreen iPod with touch controls, a revolutionary mobile phone, and a breakthrough internet communications device. The iPhone completely disrupted the status quo. It eliminated physical keypads entirely in favor of a massive, highly responsive capacitive multi-touch glass display. It introduced an incredibly intuitive user interface powered by iOS, allowing users to scroll through menus and zoom into photos with simple pinch gestures. A year later, Apple launched the App Store, creating an entire economic ecosystem that allowed third-party developers to build applications directly for the device. Suddenly, a phone wasn't just for calling or texting anymore. It was a gaming console, a mobile office, a social media hub, and a personal assistant. Apple focused heavily on premium build quality, seamless hardware-software integration, and a tightly controlled ecosystem that kept users loyal. By turning the smartphone from a utility tool into a luxury status symbol and a lifestyle necessity, Apple secured unmatched profitability and set the design standard that every other manufacturer would be forced to follow for the next 2 decades. As Apple claimed the premium crown, a fierce rival from South Korea stepped forward to challenge the status quo, Samsung. While Apple aimed for exclusive, curated perfection, Samsung's strategy was built on rapid iteration, massive engineering scale, and the ultimate power of choice. Leveraging the open-source nature of Google's Android operating system, Samsung launched the Galaxy S series, quickly establishing themselves as the primary competitor to the iPhone. Samsung's biggest strength was its massive internal manufacturing capabilities. Because they designed and manufactured their own processors, memory chips, and displays, they could push hardware boundaries faster than anyone else. Samsung pioneered the trend of massive smartphone screens. When they introduced the original Galaxy Note with a massive miniature tablet display measuring 5.3 inches, critics laughed and said it was too big for human hands. But Samsung was right. The world wanted bigger screens. They became the undisputed global kings of display technology, pioneering gorgeous Super AMOLED screens with curved edges. In recent years, when traditional smartphone design began to plateau, Samsung took a massive multi-billion-dollar gamble on flexible display engineering, single-handedly creating the commercial market for foldable smartphones with the Galaxy Z Fold and Galaxy Z Flip series. Through relentless engineering and sheer variety, Samsung has maintained its position as the world's largest smartphone manufacturer by volume. While Apple and Samsung fought their duopoly war, a massive new challenger emerged from Shenzhen, China, Huawei. Unlike its competitors, Huawei's true power came from the ground up. They were already a massive global leader in telecommunications infrastructure, building the actual cellular towers, switches, and 5G networks that allowed the internet to function globally. When Huawei transitioned heavily into premium consumer smartphones, they brought that immense engineering expertise with them. Huawei smartphones quickly became famous for pushing boundaries in battery life, processing efficiency with their custom Kirin chips, and most notably, mobile photography. By forming a strategic partnership with the legendary camera manufacturer Leica, Huawei completely rewrote the rules of low-light smartphone photography. Devices like the P20 Pro and P30 Pro introduced massive sensors and periscope zoom lenses that could literally see in the dark, leaving rivals scrambling to catch up. By 2020, despite intense competition, Huawei briefly bypassed both Apple and Samsung to become the #1 smartphone manufacturer in the world. Even when faced with massive geopolitical challenges and losing access to critical software ecosystems, Huawei demonstrated incredible resilience. They engineered their own operating system, Harmony OS, created a brand new app ecosystem, and continued to pioneer ultra-premium hardware engineering, including some of the thinnest, most advanced satellite-connected foldables in the world. 5 global companies. 5 completely different operational philosophies. Motorola gave humanity the initial freedom of untethered wireless communication. Nokia connected the masses and built the foundation of global network reliability. Apple completely reimagined what a phone could be, turning it into an intuitive, elegant extension of our daily lives. Samsung provided the power of open-source choice and relentless display innovation. And Huawei demonstrated the raw power of core telecommunications engineering and corporate resilience. Together, these 5 technological empires took a wild science fiction dream and turned it into the very fabric of our modern digital civilization. So, looking back at this incredible journey, which of these giants do you think played the most important role in your personal tech history? Are you a nostalgic fan of the classic Nokia days, a dedicated member of the Apple ecosystem, or a Samsung multitasking power user? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into tech history, make sure to hit that like button, share this video with your fellow tech enthusiasts, and subscribe to the channel for more deep looks into the technology that shapes our world. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.